Hello there, this video will cover how to install Kali Linux on a Chromebook without rooting. Kali Linux is popular with security specialists. If you are interested in Linux on a Chromebook, then you may be interested in my playlist that will cover how to install and set up a Linux desktop on a Chromebook without rooting. The procedure in this video uses the built-in Linux feature on a Chromebook. So we are going to use the Chromebook as is in the stable channel without any rooting, power washing, or developer mode. It is important that the Chromebook is in the stable channel. If you have taken it off the stable channel, then put it back. If you don't know what that means, then you're good to go. Also, if you ever want to remove Linux completely or start over, then it can be removed by clicking on the Remove button from Chromebook settings, which I will show later in the video. The full install instructions, including all of the commands and any potential updates, will be in the pinned comment for this video. If there is an update that affects the procedure shown in this video, then I will have notes on anything that has changed at the top of the pinned comment. For the overall install, we will first start with a fresh Linux container install. After that, we will edit the repository so that it points to Kali. Once we've done that, we will update Linux in order to turn the container into Kali. After that, we will download some software, and then we will create a launch script that we will use to start up the desktop. Once we have the desktop running, we will do some configurations and fixes. Lastly, I will show how to properly shut down Linux on a Chromebook. This video covers the ins and outs of running Kali in the Google container environment. For example, failure of shutting down the container is the equivalent of shutting down a PC by unplugging it. To install the Linux container, we can open up Chromebook settings, and from the list on the left side, we can click on About Chrome OS. And then under Developers, next to Linux Development Environment, we can click on the Setup button. Then from the window that comes up for setting up the Linux Development Environment, we can click on the Next button. From here, we can set the username to whatever we would like, and we can set the disk size. The disk size is the amount of storage being taken from the Chrome OS side and being set aside for Linux. If we'd like, we can set a custom disk size. Note that the disk size can be adjusted at any time from Chromebook settings. For my example, I'm just going to go with the recommended 10 gigs. Once we are done setting that all up, we can click on the Install button. The install should just take a couple of minutes. Now we are installing Debian in Google's container environment in a virtual machine running under Chrome OS. After the install, we will be converting Debian into Kali. When the install is done, a terminal app will open. From here, the first thing we can do for convenience is pin the terminal app to the bottom shelf on our Chromebook so that it stays in the bottom shelf. To do that, we can right-click on the terminal app. Note that a right-click on a Chromebook is a two-finger click on the mouse pad. From here, we can select Pin. Now, even if we close out of the terminal app, it will stay on the bottom shelf. We can also temporarily make the terminal text bigger by doing Ctrl+ on our keyboard. To make the text smaller, we can do Ctrl-. In the terminal, if we type in cat /etc/os-release and press enter, we can see that we are running Debian. So we are going to convert Debian into Kali. The closer a Debian-derived distro is to Debian, the more likely a procedure like this will work. Note that questions are always welcomed and encouraged. If you encounter an issue during this procedure, create a new comment. Please don't post questions under the pinned comment or under another user's comment because it makes it difficult for me to find and answer questions. Also, to help me help you, please include the last command you executed or a description of what you were doing along with any messages and errors that you see. Additionally, if you experience any internet connection issues during the install process, then we can verify if Linux is connected to the internet by executing ping-google.com from the terminal. If there is no continuous output, then the Linux side is not connected to the internet. To fix this, we can try restarting the network in Linux by executing sudo systemctl restart networking. If that doesn't work and the issue continues, then we can try editing the resolve.conf file, add the following name servers to the file, and then reboot. Rebooting Linux properly will be covered later in the video. Now back to the terminal. The first command we are going to execute is sudo space apt space update space -y. This will update the software index list. The -y at the end gets rid of the extra step of confirming that we want to update. Remember that all of the commands used in this video will be in the pinned comment, which we can use for copying and pasting. After that, we are going to execute sudo space apt space install space nano space -y. This will install the nano text editor. Now that we have nano installed, we are going to do sudo space nano space /etc/apt/sources.list. This will open the sources.list file with nano. From here, we're going to comment out all of the lines by prefixing each line with a £sign. The £sign comments out the lines so they are ignored. After that, we are going to add the Kali repository by entering in deb space left square bracket trusted $yes right square bracket space https://http.kali.org/kali space kali-rolling space main space contrib space non-free. When we are done typing that in, we can press enter out of good practice, and then we can do Ctrl-O, enter, and then Ctrl-X to save the file and exit nano. Now we are going to update. To do that, we will first execute sudo space apt space update space -y. This will update the list of available packages so that it points to Kali. Note that we can ignore the GPG warning. After that, we can do sudo space apt space full-upgrade space -y. This will upgrade the system by removing, installing, and upgrading packages, and this is what's going to turn Debian into Kali. When the upgrade is done, we can do cat space /etc/os-release, and now we can see we are using Kali. Next, we are going to download some software. For our first install, we will do sudo space apt space install space kali-defaults space -y. This will give various default settings in Kali. For our next install, we will do sudo space apt space install space kali-desktop-xfce space -y space -o space dpkg : options : =force -overwrite . This will give us the XFCE desktop for Kali Linux. The end of this command sets the option to force overwrite, which will ensure the desktop will install. After that, we are going to edit the sources.list file again by doing sudo space nano space /etc/apt/sources.list. From here, we're going to get rid of the trusted =yes, including the square brackets, because it is not needed anymore. Once we've done that, we can do Ctrl-O, enter, and then Ctrl-X to save the file and exit nano. Because we edited the sources.list file, we are going to do one more sudo space apt space update space -y. Now for our next install, we will do sudo space apt space install space synaptic space -y. This is for installing software in a GUI-based interface. For our last install, we will do sudo space apt space install space xserver-zephyr space -y. This is what we are going to use to hold the desktop together. Next, we are going to create the launch script that we are going to use to start up the XFCE desktop. To do that, we are going to execute sudo space nano space /usr/bin/gox. This will create a file called gox in the /usr/bin file path. Gox stands for Go XFCE, and it can be named whatever you would like. I'm naming this script gox because it is easier to type and find. Now for the first line, we will enter in Zephyr, starting with a capital X, space -br, space -fullscreen, space -resizable, space :20, space ampersand. Note that resizable is purposely spelled wrong with an extra E in the middle. This line creates a nested X server for the desktop to run in, and the ampersand at the end runs it in the background. For the next line, we will type in sleep space 3. This will give time for the nested X server to start up. Next, for the third line, we are going to type in sudo space systemctl space restart space networking space ampersand greater than space /dev/null space ampersand. The sudo systemctl restart networking will restart the network in Linux. This will help to prevent internet issues in Linux. The ampersand greater than /dev/null will delete any output, including both standard and error messages. Note that you can remove this if you want to see those messages. For the next line, we will put in sleep space 3. This will give time for the network to restart. Finally, for the last line, we will put in sudo space -u space your user ID space in all capital letters display $:20 space in lowercase letters start XFCE4 space ampersand greater than space /dev/null space ampersand. Your user ID is what comes before the @penguin in the terminal. The sudo-u user ID display $:20 start XFCE4 is what's going to start up the desktop. Now that we are done with creating the script, we can press enter once more out of good practice, and then we can do Ctrl-O, enter, and then Ctrl-X to save the file and exit nano. All we have left to do to the script is sudo space chmod space +x space /usr/bin/gox. This will make the gox script executable so that we can use it. Before we start up the desktop, we are first going to right-click on the terminal app in the bottom shelf, select Shut Down Linux, and once Linux has shut down, we can close out of the terminal app, then shut down the Chromebook, restart the Chromebook, then open the terminal app again, select Penguin, and wait a few moments for the terminal to start up. Once the terminal has started up, we can execute the gox script by typing in gox, press enter, and then we can wait a few moments for the desktop to start up. After a few seconds, we will get an XFCE desktop running Kali Linux on a Chromebook. Now how cool is that? Now that we have the desktop running, we are going to make some configurations. First up, we are going to remove the logout button and the root terminal emulator from the top panel because these will cause issues. To remove the logout button, we can right-click on the logout button from the top panel, select remove, and then click on the remove button to confirm that we want to get rid of the logout button. Now to remove the root terminal emulator, we can right-click on the terminal emulator from the top panel, select properties, and then in the launcher window that comes up, we can select the root terminal emulator, click on the dash button on the right side, and then click on the remove button to confirm that we want to remove the root terminal emulator. Once we've done that, we can click on the close button in the launcher window. Next, we will fix Pulse Audio Volume Control, and then we will replace the broken volume control from the top panel with Pulse Audio Volume Control. To fix Pulse Audio Volume Control, we can go to the menu, and under Usual Applications, in the Multimedia category, we can right-click on Pulse Audio Volume Control, and select Edit Application. After that, we can make the Edit Launcher window full screen, and then we can prefix the already existing command with env space in all capital letters xdg underscore runtime underscore dir =/ in lowercase letters run /user /1000 space in all capital letters GDK underscore backend =, lowercase x, 11, space. env lets us set environmental variables for a program. The XDG variable, which I will be referring to as the XDG prefix, helps the app to find and connect to services such as sound. The GDK variable, which I will refer to as the GDK prefix, is what's going to make the application run inside the desktop. Now I am going to highlight and copy the XDG prefix, including the env part, because I am going to use it later in this video. Now that we are done editing the launch command for Pulse Audio Volume Control, we can click on the Save button in the bottom right of the window. Since we have fixed Pulse Audio Volume Control, we can add it to the top panel by going back to the menu, and under Usual Applications, in the Multimedia category, we can right-click on Pulse Audio Volume Control, and select Add to Panel. We can then move it by right-clicking on Pulse Audio Volume Control, select Move, and then I'm going to move it next to the broken volume control. After that, we can remove the broken volume control by right-clicking on it, select Remove, and then click on the Remove button to confirm that we want to get rid of the volume control. Now when we click on Pulse Audio Volume Control and wait a moment, we will get a functional volume control that we can adjust to our liking. Next, I am going to show an example of how to use Synaptic Package Manager to install software. Synaptic Package Manager is available from the menu and in Usual Applications. In the System category, we can see Synaptic Package Manager. Before I open Synaptic Package Manager, I'm going to add it to the top panel for convenience by right-clicking on it and selecting Add to Panel. I'm then going to move it by right-clicking on Synaptic Package Manager, and then I'm going to select Move, where I'm then going to place it next to the other apps. So now I can conveniently open Synaptic by clicking on it from the top panel. When Synaptic opens, we can click on the Close button in the Quick Introduction window, and then we can make Synaptic full screen. It's a good practice whenever we open up Synaptic that we update the list of available packages by clicking on the Reload button from the top left, and wait a few moments for Synaptic to reload. When Synaptic has finished reloading, we can then install some software. For this example, I'm going to install the games Power Manga and Frozen Bubble. To do that, we can click on the Search button from the top right, and then we are going to search by name by clicking the Lookin' pull-down, and select Name. Once we've done that, we can search for Power Manga. Generally, searching by description and name is more effective for browsing software. For the purposes of this video, we are searching by name because we already know the name of the program. When Power Manga comes up, we can right-click on it, select Mark for Installation, and then click on the Mark button for the additional required changes. After that, in order to install Power Manga, we need to click on the Apply button, and then click on Apply again in order to confirm that we want to install Power Manga. When Power Manga is finished installing, we can click on the Close button in the Changes Applied window. We are now going to repeat this process once more to install Frozen Bubble. Like what we did for Power Manga, we are going to click on the Search button, and then search by name for Frozen-Bubble. When Frozen Bubble comes up, we can right-click on it, select Mark for Installation, click on the Mark button for the additional required changes. Then to install Frozen Bubble, we can click on the Apply button, and then click on Apply again to confirm the install. When Frozen Bubble is done installing, we can click on the Close button in the Changes Applied window, and then we can close out of Synaptic. Next, as an example of fixing sound for apps, I am going to show how to get sound working for Power Manga and Frozen Bubble. First, we will fix sound for Power Manga by going to the menu, and in Usual Applications. In the Games category, we can right-click on Power Manga, select Edit Application, and then we can prefix the already existing command with the XDG prefix that I showed earlier. Also, depending on the application, it may be necessary to specify the file path of where the application is located. Since Power Manga is a game, we will add /usr/games/ in front of Power Manga. When we are done editing the launch command, we can click on the Save button to apply the changes we made. Now if we open up Power Manga from the menu, it will start up with some fun music and sound effects while we play the game. To toggle full screen for Power Manga, we can press the F key, and to exit the current game, we can press the Escape key, and then press Enter for the Quit option in the menu to close out of Power Manga. Now to fix the sound for Frozen Bubble, we can go to the menu, and under Usual Applications, in the Games category, we can right-click on Frozen Bubble, and select Edit Application. Then, like what we did for Power Manga, we will prefix the already existing command with the XGG prefix. And because Frozen Bubble is also a game, we will specify the file path it is in, which is /usr/games/. Once we are done editing the launch command for Frozen Bubble, we can click on the Save button. Now when we open up the Frozen Bubble game from the menu, it will load up, and when it's done loading, we can hear the music and sound effects. To toggle full screen, we can click on the F key. To exit the current game, we can press the Escape key, and then press the Enter key. And then to exit out of Frozen Bubble from the menu, we can press the Escape key. Next, I am going to show how to shut down Linux on a Chromebook. To properly shut down Linux, we have to right-click on the Terminal app in the bottom shelf, select Shut Down Linux, wait a moment or two for the desktop to close and for Linux to shut down, and when Linux has shut down, we can close the Terminal app. To start Linux back up and get the desktop running again, we can open up the Terminal app, select Penguin, wait a few moments for the terminal to start up, and then when the terminal has started up, we can execute the gox script, and after a few moments, we will have the desktop. If you encounter an issue such as the terminal stuck loading for more than 10 minutes, or the desktop won't start up, or there's some other issue, then the general fix for this is to shut down Linux, reboot the Chromebook, put the Chromebook online, then start up Linux, and if Linux starts up, then try starting up the desktop. Often, when Chrome OS updates, Linux will get an update as well, which is why for the general fix, we put the Chromebook online. For a neat party trick, we can go to the menu, search for Kali-Undercover, click on Kali-Undercover, and the desktop will be transformed. Now, how fun is that? When we want the Kali desktop back, we can open the menu from the bottom left this time, search for Kali-Undercover, and then click on Kali-Undercover, and within a few moments we will get our Kali desktop back. For more documentation on Kali, we can open up Firefox from the top panel, and in Firefox there are a bunch of bookmarks on the top that are related to Kali. The first bookmark is a link to the official Kali website. The next link takes us to the documentation for various Kali tools, which is from the Kali website. After that, we have a link to the official Kali documentation, which is also from the Kali website. Next, we have the Kali forums, which again is from the Kali website. And the last link from the Kali website takes us to all the different ways that we can get Kali, including installer images, virtual machines, live images, Kali NetHunter Pro for mobile devices, and more. After that, we have a bookmark for the exploit database website. And then we have a link to the Google hacking database, which is also from the exploit database website. Finally, we have a link to the OffSec learning platform. Depending on the tools being used in Kali, it may be necessary to open ports. Ports can be opened by going to Chromebook Settings, and from the list on the left side, we can click on About Chrome OS, and under Developers, we can click on Linux Development Environment, and from here we can click on Port Forwarding, which is where we can add ports. Now Kali has rolling updates, which has the potential to break Kali. If it does break, the best solution may be to reinstall Kali. Note that Linux can be removed at any time from Chromebook settings, so you never have to power wash your Chromebook. So if you want or need to remove Linux, it can be removed from the Linux development environment part of Chromebook settings, where we can click on the Remove button. If you are new to using the Kali Linux command line, I highly recommend downloading the Advanced Bash Scripting Guide. It's a beginner-friendly book that assumes no previous knowledge of scripting or programming and has lots of examples, which is what I really like about the book. All we have to do is install abs-guide, and then we can open it from the Firefox browser by going to file://usr/share/doc/abs-guide/html/index.html. I recommend bookmarking this for convenience. If you enjoyed this video, then you may be interested in the companion book to this video, the Chromebook Guide to Google Linux. And other than that, see you soon!